Whereas Shakespeare, in his iconic comedy, The Taming of the Shrew, purposefully pushes the audience to interpret themes of class, marriage, and gender for ourselves, in her first Democratic Convention speech, Michelle Obama rhetorically persuades the audience that she and her husband are a unifying force who understand average Americans and can help inspire them to achieve the American dream. Both texts ultimately explore perspectives on the global issue of socioeconomics as a force that influences gender roles in marriage. In Act 3, Scene 2, Shakespeare shows a parody of extremely commanding, yet also stereotypical characters who explore gender relations through farcical comic relief. The ultimate purpose is humorous entertainment with a happy ending that sells tickets to theatergoers, but arguably there is also an intent to have the audience question the strict gender hierarchy in the Elizabethan era. The Obamas, on the other hand, are an atypical former first family, so Michelle Obama easily argues for the success and unity of her marriage as a metaphor for the future success of the nation with them as leaders. While Ms. Obama's political speeches on behalf of her husband are highly misrepresentative of her overall body of work in terms of gender, all her speeches center around the political themes of unity and hope. Since both text types are performative and spoken with cadence and rhythmic repetition to aid the memory of both the audience, especially the speeches, and the speaker, especially in a play, the authorial choices employed are similar in form. Marriage, class, and gender, including all of the patriarchal aspects of the cultural context that are included, are the major themes of The Taming of the Shrew. The overall work includes feminist representation just alone by having a super strong female character who, even though she was a stereotypical shrew, at least in the first half and near the end, nonetheless becomes an ideal marriage partner at the denouement of the play and is coveted socially and financially by her marriage partner. In a play wherein the stereotypically dominant male is afforded the maximum quantity of lines compared to any other character, Catherine, the shrew, still holds the power to give the longest speech of the play. This dramatic feature of the play itself is telling since it is highly unique to have a long speech in a Shakespearean comedy. Catherine has undeniable, quantifiable power, both through how she is presented with strong representation and how Petruchio views her as coveted property, no matter how the meaning of the play is interpreted as super sexist or subtly feminist. The extract uses antanaclasis that is typical of a newlywed couple exploring boundaries and attempting to reach compromise, but yet which ends up with Petruchio taking charge and initiating his taming process to shape his wife's identity. Petruchio uses two separate antanaclases, the first of which has erotic undertones and can be interpreted as a euphemistic of newlywed behavior when he replies to Catherine, "I am content you shall entreat me but yet not stay, entreat me how you can." Here not only is the drama of the climax being raised with the intreat antanaclasis, but the repetition also harnesses the witty pun comic effect typical of Shakespearean comedy. The drama further intensifies when Petruchio replies to Catherine's final shrewish stand before she was whisked away from her family and hometown by her new husband. Petruchio basically retorts that she should calm down with another antanaclasis that wittily juxtaposes the earlier satisfied meaning of content to now, "O Kate, content thee, pretty be not angry." He is almost sweet in this exchange that further builds dramatic tension with the back and forth of two strong personalities from similar socioeconomic status who are exploring their bounds as a couple. This extract dramatically differs from the themes in Michelle Obama's speeches when Catherine is forcefully objectified and zoomorphized by her husband by making use of a massive ascendanton to end the extract with a commanding tone and violent undertones before she is carried off against her will. "She is my goods, my chattels, she is my house, my household stuff, my field, my barn, my horse, my ox, my ass, my anything." His masculine power exhaustively lists and owns to define his wife's identity with the lack of conjunctions, which heightens the drama while speeding up the rhythm and pace of the play's climactic scene. The stereotypically unbalanced gender norms of a couple that share economic wealth and privilege are uncomfortably on display and effectively put the audience on the edge of their seats, anticipating what kind of absurdity could possibly come next. Female empowerment, unity, diversity, and the American dream are themes throughout Michelle Obama's most impactful speeches. While a female is elevated to present powerful speeches and use rhetoric to empower new generations of women and girls, she is still the first lady rather than the commander-in-chief or president. She still must show strong support for her husband and convey to the public that he will empower the country as much as he has empowered her. Out of the 10 speeches studied, only the campaign speeches mention him significantly, whereas out of the 3 speeches with explicitly feminist themes, husband only indirectly refers to him once. Therefore, compared to her body of work, she is subjugating her own empowerment, and female empowerment by extension, to her husband in her campaign speeches in order to gain the socioeconomic advantages of being America's potential first family. Like Shakespeare, Michelle Obama also uses asyndeton to emphasize this global issue of socioeconomics as a force of influencing gender roles in marriage, but her employment of it in the speech is persuasive, so she combines asyndeton with tricolon, an extremely common rhetorical tool for her. The introductory anecdote and background information regarding her family was introduced previously, and now Ms. Obama gets to the heart of her speech since the focus shifts to her husband, the man running for the most powerful political office in the world. She declares how her common values from a common socioeconomic background as her husband has influenced their high-achieving aspirations. And Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values, that you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, and you do what you say you're going to do, that you treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them, and even if you don't agree with them. Her use of asyndeton helps speed through the fairly long tricolon and also adds weight to the gravity of their common origin, together as a couple. The subtextual meaning implied is that they are a unified team who will work hard for a unified America, and that their common socioeconomic upbringing has contributed to their equal partnership, just like their guardians before them referenced earlier in the extract. After describing with heavy pathos an anecdote about her husband helping inspire working-class workers in Midwestern America, Ms. Obama ends the extract with a subjunctive mood to appeal to the American dream. Immediately after describing how her husband is an inspiring man with a subtext that he will continue to inspire the nation, she pronounces that Barack stood up that day and spoke words that have stayed with me ever since. He talked about the world as it is and the world as it should be. The subjunctive mood use inspires the audience to keep not only dreaming for a better world, but also to actively help create it by voting for her husband. By voting for her husband, the audience would also be voting for a first family that comes from equal backgrounds and supposedly aims for equality. The representation of women overall, specifically how gender and marriage relates to socioeconomics, has been explored in the analysis of these 2 texts. Both authors explore equality in marriage, but from completely opposite perspectives. Shakespeare juxtaposes Apollonian love versus Dionysian lust in a satire disguised as a farcical parody of gender roles, whereas Ms. Obama metaphorically explains how her family is America's family, with hope and unity themes. The implication of Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew from the exploration of the global issue is that though women 400 years ago in England were considered property and did not effectively have a voice of their own, there were women like Catherine who resisted male control and sought to keep their own individuality in marriage. While men could absurdly try to tame them as Petruchio farcically did, in reality, those marriages that work as fairly equal partnerships of mutual respect will most likely work out the happiest in the end. Michelle Obama's body of work reinforces the notion that even successful feminists must occasionally stand behind their man in a society mostly run by males, at least until they begin to run and win consistently. Even then, marriage is still a partnership. Ultimately, both texts show how, for a marriage to be successful, compromise, cooperation, and economic consistency are integral towards a lasting and loving partnership. After all, what is a marriage without cooperative unity? Put simplistically, marriage without a compromising unity ends in divorce. Thank you.